Okay, Steve, should we start?
Yep. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Steve Barton. I'm the Strategic Planning Manager for Ealing Council, and I head up the team responsible for the local plan. So in today's session, we're going to give you a quick introduction to the local plan and then have a deep dive with an overview of Southall before saying a little about the community infrastructure levy and how you can get involved in this round of public consultation. So the local plan is obviously a key document for the council, very important strategy that helps frame and shape growth and development in the borough over the next 15 years. It sets out a vision, strategic priorities and a planning policy framework for development in line with our council plan. And the purpose of the local plan is to create certainty and confidence for communities, businesses and investors about what development will come forward across each of our 7 towns over the next 15 years. The local plan has also to be prepared in line with national and regional planning policy framework, in particular the London plan, and it must be reviewed every 5 years. So some of the highlights of the local plan include obviously placemaking, place shaping generally, and how we can regenerate our 7 town centres. The approach to the 7 towns is all about trying to spread growth and ensure that growth and development is more balanced across the borough. The plan also seeks to promote active travel and 20-minute neighbourhoods, has a particular focus on delivering more genuinely affordable housing and includes raising the fast track threshold for viability assessments for affordable housing from 35% in the London plan to 40%. It also introduces new small site affordable housing contributions so that the developments of less than 10 units will also make contributions towards critical infrastructure. It includes policies on affordable workspace and sustaining and creating jobs across the borough and delivers a very robust approach to tall buildings where they are accepted and what heights would be deemed to be suitable. There's also a new suite of climate action policies, including on whole life carbon. And the plan sets out clear design principles and infrastructure requirements for each of the 84 site allocations in the plan. And finally, we're the last local planning authority in London to introduce a new community infrastructure levy, basically a tax on development to support funding for infrastructure and supporting growth. The broad structure of the plan is illustrated on this slide. And the first thing to say is that the London plan is an integral part of our local development plan. The plan itself is then divided into the following. The first 2 chapters provide some introduction and set the scene. Chapter 3 is the spatial strategy, which sets out the overall spatial vision, strategic objectives, includes a key diagram. Chapter 4 is the bulk of the plan, divided up into 7 individual town plans, also containing the suite of development sites associated with each town plan. And what the town plans seek to do is to translate into practice how the borough spatial-wide objectives and vision will be implemented locally. Chapter 5 sets out 18 development management policies, many of which have a parent policy in the London plan, some of which are unique to our local plan. And then finally, sitting outside the plan but alongside it is a policies map. And all that does is show on a map base the main planning policy designations. And I would urge you to look at 2 documents in particular, the Atlas of Change, which illustrates those changes in designations that are being proposed as part of the new local plan, and an interactive policies map, which again will provide greater flexibility and enable you to be able to look at different geographies and different planning policy designations. So the local plan sits within a broad planning framework which consists of the National Planning Policy Framework and associated guidance. This is where government sets out what planning policy will be nationally. The London Plan, which is produced by the Mayor of London, last produced and updated in March 2021. And our local plan must be in general conformity with the London Plan. And then sitting beneath the local plan are various neighbourhood plans, 2 of which have currently been adopted and met the basic tests, covering geographies in central and West Ealing. I should emphasise that this local plan covers the entire geography of the London Borough of Ealing, with the exception of Old Oak and North Acton, which are covered by a separate local planning authority, part of a mayoral development corporation called the Old Oak and Park Royal Development Corporation. This slide illustrates the stages in the preparation of the local plan, and we're currently at stage 5. So the earlier stages would have been the Shaping Ealing consultation, which we conducted back in 2022, where we invited you to tell us, what some of the challenges, some of the opportunities existed within your localities. That was associated with a wider period of technical evidence gathering, much of the evidence base now sitting alongside the local plan on our web pages. We then conducted the first formal round of public and stakeholder consultation between November 2022 and February 2023, which was the Reg 18 or initial proposals. And we're now at the stage where, having made further modifications based on the feedback we received at Reg 18, we're at Reg 19, which are essentially our final proposals. And these final proposals were endorsed by a meeting of full council on February the 21st. The next stage will be, once we've gathered together all the various responses from this Reg 19 consultation, will be a process of independent examination before we finally adopt the plan. And I'll say more about that later. So the plan itself is based on priorities that have been set in the council plan. This is the document that's produced by the council to set out its overall strategic objectives and priorities. And there are 3 strategic objectives: tackling the climate crisis, fighting inequality, and creating good jobs and growth. And sitting within each of those strategic objectives are 3 priorities each. The local plan in chapter 3 then sets out the vision. I'm not going to go through this in detail, but essentially it's about spreading the benefits of growth and prosperity across the 7 towns of the borough. And that's illustrated in a key diagram, and you'll see here that illustrated are all of the main town centres in the borough, with the addition of 2 new entries, 2 neighbourhood centres proposed at White Hart roundabout in Southall and in close proximity to Perivale Station in Perivale. So now coming to chapter 4, which are the town plans. Each of these plans then look at an individual town in the borough, acknowledging that each has its own strong local identity, unique character, and has differing sets of challenges and opportunities. And we want to ensure, as I say, that growth and development can be better balanced across the borough. Each town plan is divided into 4 broad sections. First, a sort of spatial portrait or context, setting out some of the key issues and opportunities that we've identified through the evidence base and through the various rounds of consultation. A town spatial strategy, which articulates the vision and borough-wide, and the town-specific strategy, reflecting how the borough-wide spatial strategy will be implemented locally. A series of more town-specific spatial policies, which set out detailed policy in relation to specific areas within each town. And then a set of development sites. Those are the sites specifically where we believe various objectives set out in the spatial strategy are most likely to be delivered. So now turning to Southall itself. So Southall today is home to approximately 81,000 people, comprising 22% of the borough's total population, making it the borough's 2nd largest town. It's also the most diverse area in the United Kingdom, with 89% of Southall's population identifying as being non-white. There are, of course, pockets of deprivation throughout Southall. It has the 2nd highest index of multiple deprivation score out of the borough's 7 towns, and a high proportion of Southall is ranked amongst the top 20% most deprived wards nationally. But Southall is also a cultural destination of national importance, and it's imperative that any future change and development builds upon and enhances this success. Southall's industrial areas are home to nearly 400 businesses, providing over 4,000 jobs, and they have a low vacancy rate of 5.7%, reflecting the very strong demand in this area. And the availability of former industrial brownfield sites and the arrival of the Elizabeth line at Southall Station has served as a catalyst for quite transformational growth and investment. And this has, of course, fueled concerns that perhaps Southall has done too much of the heavy lifting and that future growth needs to be more balanced and more modest in scale in the future. So looking at some of the key challenges and opportunities. In terms of challenges, the lack of employment-led growth is certainly foremost on this list, Whilst the pace of new homes provision has been rapid, this has not been accompanied by a similar increase in the amount of employment space and new jobs. Indeed, pressure from residential-led growth in Southall is placing increased pressure upon Southall's industrial land. One of the key issues identified in the consultation is to retain Southall's unique identity and heritage amid large-scale development and rapid change. New large-scale development may lead to economic and social barriers between long-standing communities and those moving in, making social cohesion more difficult. And the borough-wide challenges of deprivation and low pay are particularly acute in Southall, and these can contribute to deeply embedded health and well-being challenges. In terms of opportunities, clearly empowerment is probably first and foremost here. For example, the Southall Reset programme provides an opportunity to enable a more community-led approach to regeneration and investment for Southall, while the very successful Let's Go Southall programme encourages greater walking and cycling, and it's helping to drive local demand for enhanced active travel measures and safe walking and cycling routes. And this could bring transformational changes and provide a unique opportunity to complement the programme with active travel infrastructure improvements. The arrival of the Elizabeth line provides a clear rationale for large-scale regeneration at Southall and strategic sites near the new station. However, it's also an opportunity to make Southall a destination, revisiting its offer and its relationship to the wider London region. This includes diversifying the town centre activities and intensifying industrial land, capitalising on the area's excellent connectivity and bringing new employment opportunities. There should be a focus, therefore, on employment-led regeneration. Future growth will require a mix of employment spaces, blending lower density distribution activity with high quality, flexible and affordable workspace, office, studio and other types of spaces to allow existing businesses to grow and new businesses to locate here. This will ultimately make Southall a premier destination in London and beyond to start and grow a new business. And finally, there's a need to meet the demands for new, generally affordable housing, whether to rent or to buy for Southall residents. So looking at the spatial vision for Southall, the plan suggests that future development investment in Southall will celebrate and strengthen the unique character and heritage of Southall as a cultural destination of national importance. It will capitalise on Southall's strategic location on the Elizabeth line and its proximity to Heathrow Airport to maximise economic opportunities for the area. Southall's role as a major town centre in the town centre hierarchy of London will be strengthened with a good range of retail, commercial, leisure and community uses provided, together with enhanced public realm, additional greening and improved active travel links. King Street Neighbourhood Centre will complement Southall Major Centre, whose offer will be enhanced, bringing together new commercial space and a public square at the Green, with existing shopping parades and enhanced community spaces. West Southall, based around the former gasworks, will deliver a new residential and commercial neighbourhood and an extension to Southall Major Centre. This will act to strengthen and complement the role of Southall as a major centre, providing new public realm, social, community and green infrastructure. And finally, East Southall will deliver mixed-use developments of residential, convenience retail, community cultural and leisure uses, led by quality commercial spaces designed to better optimise the use of the land. So in terms of the spatial strategy, while recognising local concerns about the scale and pace of recent development, new growth presents an opportunity to tackle the widespread challenges of deprivation, low pay and poor health. It also provides a significant opportunity for investment to deliver improved employment opportunities, affordable homes, support healthier lifestyles and achieve a better quality local environment. Growth should be employment-led to help rebalance the offer of new homes and new jobs for Southall and more moderate in scale. Southall's strong industrial base with specialisms in things like wholesale, warehousing and logistics and transport will be supported and enhanced. And the health and well-being of Southall residents will be improved by adding to the network of green open spaces, improving access to primary healthcare infrastructure, enhancing existing social and community infrastructure and providing new play pitches and sports facilities, and active travel connections will be improved throughout Southall. And the specific housing needs of Southall residents will be addressed by delivering more genuinely affordable housing to tackle deprivation and low income, promoting innovative design solutions to facilitate intergenerational living, both as part of new build housing developments and through the adaptation of existing homes, moderate levels of development at Golf Links Estate and Havelock Estate to regenerate these urban environments and encourage local provision of social infrastructure and convenience goods stores, and meeting other specific housing needs to Southall. And finally, the plan sets out key infrastructure delivery priorities for the area. And this is illustrated on a key diagram map for the Southall area. So the rest of the Southall chapter then looks at spatial policies and development sites. In terms of spatial policies, there are 3 additional policies, one reinforcing Southall's role as a major centre, another to enhance the vitality and viability of the King Street neighbourhood centre, and thirdly to ensure effective delivery of new neighbourhoods on the Southall Green Quarter and East Southall. And there are 21 development sites that have made it through to the final cut of Reg 19. That's 5 less than were consulted upon at Reg 18. 8 of those development sites are considered to be potentially suitable for a tall building, of which 5 sites are for 10 stories or more. And this slide illustrates where all the development sites are in Southall and indicates those sites which might be potentially suitable for a tall building. And you will see that most of the sites are either within Southall Major Town Centre or on former brownfield land. So I just wanted to say a little bit about Chapter 5 in the plan. This is the development management policies. These are those policies in the plan that are used to guide the determination of individual planning applications. And there are 18 proposed in the revised local plan. Now, these will either be local variations to existing London plan policies, or there will be, for example, some of our climate change suite, entirely new policies. And these include things like design, a robust approach to tall buildings, supporting our aspirations for more affordable housing and more affordable workspace, the protection of industrial land, promotion of biodiversity, urban greening, and protection of urban spaces, and more sports and recreational facilities, together with that suite of new climate action policies aimed at reducing carbon, but also looking at whole life cycle approaches, as well as supporting the circular economy. I finally also wanted to say a little bit about the community infrastructure levy. This is that tax on development that I was referring to right at the beginning. And we're consulting on this separately to the local plan, but at the same time. And the primary use of the community infrastructure levy is to get financial contributions from certain types of development to help fund new or improved infrastructure. It's a non-negotiable charge, and it creates greater certainty that new development will contribute to delivering the infrastructure that's needed to support growth. And it works in a much more consistent way than our current reliance on Section 106 agreements, which are subject to site-by-site negotiation. So Section 106 will still be continued for site-specific mitigation and non-infrastructure requirements, things like affordable housing and skills funding. Ealing hasn't previously adopted a civil charging schedule, and we're the only local authority in London which has failed to do so hitherto. So the setting of the draft charging schedule is based on infrastructure requirements, and that's set out in infrastructure delivery plan, which you'll also find together with the schedule on our website under the evidence base. The schedule is subject to consultation and independent examination, and those charges, must be supported by viability evidence. And again, there is a viability evidence report on the council's website. And the rates that we set seek to strike a balance between the additional investment needed to support development and the potential effect on the viability of development as required by the regulations. And once the charging schedule is adopted, it's assumed to be the primary mechanism to raise funds for strategic infrastructure. And as I said before, affordable housing, including payments in lieu, and other non-infrastructure contributions such as skills training and carbon offsetting will continue to be secured through 106. And this just illustrates the rates, and you'll see that we charge higher rates for residential development, and in particular in the geography of central Ealing compared to the rest of the borough. So if you want to comment on the draft seal charging schedule, as I say, the consultation runs exactly the same period as the local plan, concluding on the 10th of April. And if you click on this link, if you just type in community infrastructure levy and Ealing Council, it will take you to the landing page where you'll be able to find out more information. If you want to comment more broadly on the local plan itself, as I say, closing date is the 10th of April. We've created a very helpful toolkit to help you understand and respond to the new local plan. Again, you'll find that from our local plan landing page. And there are many ways in which you can provide feedback. Our preferred route is via a Survey Monkey form. Alternatively, you can download the representation form and either send that back to us by email or by post. You can write to us, you can send us a letter, and you can also find hard copies of the plan in local libraries and in the Customer Services Centre at Purcell House. So the next steps then on conclusion of the Reg 19 consultation is we'll obviously give further careful consideration to the responses that we receive, and the plan will then be, together with the supporting evidence base, submitted to the Secretary of State for examination. Now, I should point out the Council itself cannot make any further changes to the plan, but we can suggest modifications to the plan based on the responses that we receive, and those are then considered by the inspector as part of the independent examination process. If significant amendments are deemed necessary by the inspector, then further consultation will be required. The planning inspector will assess the plan for legal compliance and against the tests of soundness that are set out in national planning policy. And the examination process itself will be structured around the issues that the inspector identifies. Plan for examination in the summer. I'm aiming for the end of June. I expect public hearings, which will be entirely at the gift of the planning inspector, would take place either autumn or winter 2024, beginning of 2025, with adoption expected in the summer of next year, subject to the examination process and the inspector's final report. So that's the end of my presentation. I'd be more than happy to take questions and would suggest, if not already done so, they either be put in the Q&A or the chat function.
Okay, we don't have any questions at the moment, Steve.
Okay. It's not too late.
If anyone also wants to voice their question, yeah, please feel free to stick up your hand. So Tajinder, I will let you in, just 2 moments. If you unmute yourself now, Tajinder, you should be able to voice your question.
Thank you. I trust you can hear me okay?
We can indeed. Good afternoon.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And good afternoon to you as well. That was a very helpful presentation. Thank you very much. I've also downloaded the document that I think was sent in advance as well. So I've just been perusing the plan for Southall. Look, I think regeneration for the town is essential. I'm a big supporter of what Berkeley are doing. I actually sit on their CESG group and we meet quarterly to discuss what's happening in Southall and how we can further support what Berkeley are up to. I think if you look at 4.710 in the document and 4.711, I think you touched upon it in your presentation this morning, that there is concern about the height of the developments, loss of heritage assets and pressures on local services. And I'm always of the view that surely you look to address the foundational issues that Southall has, the overcrowding. You mentioned that 1/5 of the population of the borough is present in Southall, that which you can actually record. We know there are a lot of people who are here on student visas. You can't walk around South Road or the Broadway now without seeing tons and tons of people, and you often wonder where they're coming from. People must be living in illegal garages. There are more and more aggressive, rapid developments taking place, which are not of the same caliber as Berkeley. They're probably not going to give back as much as Berkeley is giving in terms of the green spaces that Berkeley are producing and generating, as well as the commercial opportunities. And I just think at some point something has to give. You know, where are all these people going to go? People, how many more cars are going to be there on the road? You speak about carbon footprint, more cars, more transport. People are blocking people's driveways, parking illegally all the time, something which I complained to the council about. Yeah, something has to give at some point. More population will mean more issues, more concerns. And in terms of the consultation, I will think about filling in the consultation, but I've often engaged with the council, submitted other consultation responses, fought against other developers. And I think the voice of those living in Southall often isn't heard. And I often think consultations are a done deal. So I think I'm seeking assurance that if Southall as a community comes together and makes comments, some change will actually happen in the master plan that will go to the Secretary of State. But at the moment, despite me being an enthusiastic and progressive individual, I am slightly kind of disappointed by everything that's happening around in the town, and the number of developments now are just endless, and something has to give at some point. I'm repeating myself now, so I'll hand back to you to respond to all of that. Thank you for your time.
I mean, it's a very, very good point. There's not an awful lot I can disagree with. I mean, clearly, obviously, there's a balance to be struck between development and the impact that that development has. And of course, one of the problems that Southall faces is an awful lot of development happening, and what we're not necessarily seeing translated into action yet is a lot of the benefits that flow from that development. You talked about the former gasworks site, for example. That's obviously a work in progress, and it's probably the most significant development site in the borough, never mind in Southall, and is obviously having a transformational effect on that part of Southall. But equally, many of the other development sites are on former brownfield sites, particularly around East Southall, for example. So there are huge opportunities here for those sites to be repurposed and brought back into productive use. And the question, of course, then is, how can we ensure that we protect and indeed celebrate the things that make Southall a very special and unique place, whilst at the same time addressing some of the challenges that I outlined at the beginning of the talk in terms of providing real benefits to existing Southall residents as well as future residents. So I would urge you, please make comments. We certainly would welcome, receipt of any comments. Ezra?
Okay. I don't see any other hands up, Steve. Oh, sorry, that's my own hand up. And I don't see any other questions in the chat. So I think it's fair to say we can probably wrap up, but just to highlight that if you do still have any questions, we do have the afternoon webinar, the evening webinar as well. So from 6:30 till 7:30, and you could also email in your questions to localplan@ealing.gov.uk. We will endeavour to get back to you as soon as possible. Both the slides and the recordings from this session will be put up on the Council's new local plan webpage, where you can also find more information on the new local plan, including the Southall chapter, and also the other chapters in the local plan, and ways that you can send in your representation, as Steve highlighted a few moments ago. Unless there are any questions people wanted to come in quickly, I think we can wrap this up, Steve.
Well, thank you very much for your time and continuing interest in the local plan. I may see some of you again this evening or one of our future webinars, which are taking place all of this week and next week on different geographies in the borough. Thank you so much for your time.